Join the Council for the Model Aquatic Health Code, aka CMAC. CMAC is a member-driven organization that keeps the Model Aquatic Health Code sustainable, current, and complete. Your expertise is needed. Learn more at cmac.org. That's cmahc.org.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Tuesdays with Kelli and Dan. Hey, Dan.
Hey, I'm Dan. That's Kelly, if you can't tell.
And I have some furry friends with me in here.
Cool.
Mr. Fitz and Mr. Puppy.
Mr. Puppy.
Yes, I have a dog named Puppy because my little dog had puppies and I didn't want to keep any of them. And so I named it Puppy because I thought, someone would buy it. And then my, at the time, ex-husband, he decided we're keeping it. And It was used to the name, and the kids can say the name really well.
Yeah, so it just stuck. Reminds me, our daughter, Sydney, when she was little, she'd get stuffed animals, of course, now and again. And whenever she got a stuffed animal, it was always named basically that. Piggy, doggy, horsey, that was the name.
The kids kind of have a tough time saying, well, Michael can't say it at all, and Max sometimes he struggles with calling Ruger. So I'm just like, it's okay. And sometimes it will be when I do watch Fitz, he'll be like, black dog or brown dog? And I'm like, Fitz is the black dog. And he's like, oh, okay. He likes Fitz because he's a lot more calmer than Ruger is.
Yeah.
So they'll go outside and play with the ball and everything. And Michael will lay on Fitz and go to sleep.
Oh, that's cool.
But so let's see here. What's new in my world? Let's see here. It's actually, okay, I feel like I'm in an off season, like a true off season.
Yeah.
Not like we've had the last couple of years. And to be honest, it feels great.
Right?
Like I'm still busy, but I can breathe.
Yeah, it's this time of year, so it's by the time this episode will air, it'll be the first part of November, and it's trade show season is well into full swing. But it's the aspect of running a business and working and tiptoeing around COVID, that's all of your free time was spent just figuring out how to navigate that.
Yeah.
So, knock on wood, hopefully that is very much getting further and further behind us and less of a concern. So to be able to spend time now evaluating the business and what are we doing for training and where are we going? Our staff, we started before COVID, a couple of years before COVID, with programs where staff could earn trips to national events. We took a number of people to New Orleans to the expo years back and Dallas last year, and we'll be out in Atlantic City in January coming up as this year's event. You didn't want
to take them to Vegas,
No,
the adult version of Disneyland.
The thought of Atlantic City is scary enough, but I think I'm hoping it's cold, which I've never said about Atlantic City, and it always is, but to try to make sure they actually make it to class in the morning and are
hey, they should just follow my rules.
Coherent enough to pick up everything that I want them to.
They should just follow my rules. You only drink beer or White Claws when you go out, and you make sure that you're back by midnight, 1 o'clock to your room.
If they do that, I will be thrilled. No, they'll be fine. And the two at New Orleans was the first time we did it, and because it was the first time, we had some fun. We did, in fact, we took everybody out on a haunted pub crawl.
Oh, that's cool.
We had, I want to say we had maybe 18 of our staff with, and I booked this pub crawl that was like for 40 people or something. So in addition to our staff, I invited a whole bunch of industry people.
Yeah.
And for me, it was really, really neat seeing our people interacting with people from all across the country on a level like that was so different to anything that they've really ever encountered. And
I think
the aspect.
I think the part of these shows that not everybody gets to experience, but with like your event or like with me at the shows, I've learned to meet everybody. I go to every single booth. Everybody knows who I am by now because I go to almost every show I can on the West Coast. And it gives you a different experience because you get to see those reps and everything on a different level and get to know each other and see a common interest, and they can explain how they can help you and you can explain to them what you're seeing in the field to help them. And it becomes like a family reunion
Yeah.
when you regularly go to these things, but it benefits you so much when you're back home.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. To be able to pick up your phone and text somebody who you know is going to do everything to get right back to you, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to having to call the factory's 800 number and, wait in a queue for I'd say 45 minutes, more like 45 days, I think, anymore.
Yeah.
And hope that somebody, even the janitor picks up and says, hey, we're going to try and help you. So that kind of stuff is really invaluable. And also the aspect of being face to face with people, which I'm so thrilled about this next handful of events that are coming up between now and January, that we're able to do that. Um, it, it's so different when you're talking on the phone to somebody that you have no idea who that person is, what they look like, you go to these events, you hang out with them outside of some of the, more scheduled, I guess, type of things, and get to know them on different levels, and then they are on your speed dial.
I will tell you, not just at those events, but like locally for me, I can't tell you how many accounts, like companies that I work for, distribution that I get a great relationship with, so they help me out with products and stuff like that. From me just going to a bar and having a drink with them and pretty much bullshitting.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's probably the biggest benefit I ever had. So it's like if you have those opportunities to go to a bar or go out to coffee or go out to lunch, like take those opportunities because they will pay off in the end. And yeah, you may get the number of the rep from somebody and they're like, oh, just give them a call. But when you call them, they're not going to know who the hell you are. And I'm sorry, but they're going to judge you by whatever that conversation goes by. But if you meet them at some other place and you've already got a good relationship, joked around or whatever, they will remember who you are.
Yep, absolutely. The and we've got. I'm trying to think. We're both going to. The next event after this airs is going to be the Expo in Vegas, right?
Yep.
We're both going to be there. I
Yeah.
know Rudy is going to be there.
I'm excited for brunch.
Yes, we've got
I will be finding a bottomless mimosa and Bloody Mary place. Leave it to me. I will find it.
All right, you find it, and I will be there. And that may be a day that I'll have to see exactly what meetings I've got scheduled. Um, no, but I'm excited for the event. I'm excited for all of us to get together. Those of us from Talking Pools that are going to be traveling out there and be able to see one another person to person for, it's been long overdue. So
Yes.
do you have actual training scheduled already that you're going to be doing while you're out there?
I have one training. I will be doing the National Plaster Council startup class.
Oh,
So I'm
cool.
very excited for that.
But,
I think that will be a major benefit for my business.
yeah.
Especially since instead of doing a route, I do startups. I kind of call my startups like my quote unquote route because,
Sure.
I usually have when it's really busy, like in the summer, I think the most I had was 12 at one time.
Okay.
But on average, I probably do probably 6 to 10.
Well,
Just depends on the builders and how quickly they're building pools.
yeah. We've got, in addition to the national training that's going on, certainly the Expo in Vegas. in November. As I said, NESPA's show out in Atlantic City the end of January. The Midwest chapter PHTA that I've been serving as president on for a bit, we're going to have a training event the first week of March 6th for the Midwest people, or for anybody actually. And we love seeing people. So we'll figure out how to get you to fly out to the Midwest that week for a couple of days.
I know, especially since I have the Western show like the next week or the week after that.
See,
I always go. I like the Western show because they have really good classes. It's also a much larger show than like the Pie Show was, but not as big as the Expo. Which, that's,
yeah,
I like them all. I like going to the ones all on the West Coast because I always see people I know, people from my area, new people I don't know. I guess you could say this is the time of year to take advantage of all the classes you possibly can take. Maybe try to keep on track of something, like whatever your goal is for the next coming year. Like for me, I've already started asking companies like builders, hey, can I shadow like your workers or you so I can start learning about building pools since I want to get on the design thing. Like today I got to go to a pool that actually the building company I do startups for, I found out. And I got to see how they're making rock formations out of foam and concrete.
Oh, very cool.
It was incredible. Like, just I've seen some of the videos that have been done over the last like week or two, and it's amazing what you can create from nothing.
Yeah.
And just be given a picture. And like this particular one, it was going to be a nice little waterfall feature with some rocks, and it turned into this massive, but not like overkill. Like, I think it's just perfect for the pool. This massive water feature that will have, this one doesn't have lights or anything. And then the rocks, they're going to make the color of rocks that the customer has in other parts of their backyard.
Oh,
so
wow.
All tie in together. It's not like, oh, sorry, you're stuck with gray rocks when you have these more, I call it iron red rocks over here. It's going to have a water slide, and it's crazy. So I really that's what my goal is, to go more on that direction. And so I think other people should do that. I know my women's group, we're putting on a training in December, our first one for the off season. We do 2 hands-on trainings a year. But we're going to do it where me and another lady in the group, we're going to teach women how to wire up control panels. Cool. I'm going to get, from my Hayward rep, I get to use their training one for the OmniLogic. A friend of mine has a IntelliCenter, IntelliTouch.
Sure. Yeah.
And we'll do that one, and then I'm gonna. He also has the Jandy RS. I think it's 904. And so I'm gonna check with Pentair and Jandy and be like, hey, is it okay if I borrow these? So I could do this training, which I already know that they'll have no problem with it because they're so supportive. Right. But yeah, we're gonna learn how to do that and teach the ladies, what a relay is and how to safely do it. And right now, building up to that training, I'm doing weekly sections. So last week we did the history of electricity, and I gave videos that they could watch. And this week is what is electricity, and I'm going to do a quiz on Friday, and they enter to win. I have PolarX boosters, and whoever answers the questions right, they get in a drawing, and then we'll see who wins, and do something every week to build up to that.
Where are you? This is you're doing this all virtually, basically? The weekly stuff, I mean?
The weekly stuff, is all virtually. It's on the Facebook group, PGP Industry Training Group. Okay. So they can go there, and all this will be there to their access. And even after we're done, it's still on there. It never goes away. You know how Facebook is. Once it's on there, can't delete it. Right. Well, you can, but you know what I mean. But yeah, every week will be something. So we'll do safety, go into more detail about what tools they should have for working on electrical. My biggest thing, though, when it comes to electrical, if you don't feel comfortable with it, don't do it.
Yeah, I think that goes for pretty much anything that that we deal with. That the level of comfort. There's a lot of stuff that can be dangerous. Electricity, absolutely. We in Illinois, we're one of the fortunate parts of our industry in Illinois is there's we have the ability of doing everything. Okay, so I know like in Florida, you have to be licensed a certain way to be able to do repairs as opposed to doing maintenance and things like that.
Yeah, I think Texas is the same way when it comes to electrical. You have to get your appliance certification in order to even touch it.
Yeah, and that's all great stuff, to be honest with you. I wish Illinois was more regulated because it's not. There's an awful lot of stuff going on that shouldn't be going on. Very dangerous, terrible things.
You have to have a contractor's license for everything, anything over $500. But I'll tell you what, I go to so many things and I'm just like, what the was this person doing? I'm sorry, but that is exactly the word that applies, because you're just like, I even before I started working on repairs, I could tell by looking at these things like this could cause a fire.
Right. And even so today, Heather in our Talking Pools group, right? She was reaching out and asking for someone to just validate what her thoughts were as she was in a backyard. And I know I've said before that I've called you and asked questions, and to have the network of people to reach out to is one thing, but the other part of what she was asking was related to a code, National Electric Code. Hey, I'm looking at this outlet. It's so far from the pool. Is there a requirement in terms of elevation above the ground, that kind of stuff? And I was fortunate. I was at my desk in my office where I can easily pull up all kinds of reference material and have a conversation with her and so forth. But so when people are required to be licensed and certified and those types of things, it forces them to at least have some exposure to codes. And so with that, Talking Pools is actually a very proud sponsor of CMAC, right?
Yeah.
The
it's
Council
very
for
exciting.
Council for the Model Aquatic Health Code. So that's another one of those areas where the Model Aquatic Health Code was, this is basically, I'll say, born of the CDC, right? So it's the CDC that created this. 2014, I think, was the first Model Aquatic Health Code. And they basically put together people to compile all of the best practices using the latest science and methods and create processes by which people I'm pausing. Are you still there? I lost you.
I'm still here, but my camera turned off.
That's weird. All of a sudden, I'm getting these floating orbs on the screen. We'll have to do a little bit of editing there, Rudy. Edit that out.
He won't. He'll find it comical.
Yeah, he will. He'll be like, "What were these guys drinking?"
Kelli and Dan will be right back after these messages.
Have you heard there is a group of pool service professionals nationwide that are here to help grow and protect your business? The Independent Pool and Spa Service Association, known as IPSA, is here to help you. By joining the largest trade organization created by and for pool and spa service techs, you gain access to industry networking opportunities, exclusive educational offerings, IPSA's Tech for Tech route coverage, and more. So be independent, supported, and part of a professional community. Go to ipssa.com to learn how to be a member of IPSA today.
The CMAC is the aspect of the rules that they put together that then different municipalities and so forth can draw upon to create their own codes, very much like the National Electric Code and other things of that nature. It's a great tool, I'll say. The Model Aquatic Health Code is a great tool that helps people know the best ways to build a facility, to run a facility, to test water, to train lifeguards, I mean, you name it, anything that goes into a public commercial facility is in there for them to draw upon. So,
well, and I think even when it comes to residentials, even though these things are more for the public health scenarios, it still is a great thing for residential people to look at so that they could, apply that to a residential pool, because it's just as important as a commercial. It's just the difference is who's regulating it.
Yeah, everything is about safety and about, quality and those types of things. So if you were to take any commercial code or commercial application and put it into a residential setting, it might be overkill to a certain degree, but it's never going to be wrong as far as, in my mind anyway. But so anyway, like I said, we're thrilled to be able to sponsor the CMAC, and the CMAC too, the council that gets together to evaluate the codes and so forth is people that from our industry. They're members of CMAC that do that work. So it's one of those areas where anyone who is part of it can have a voice.
Yeah.
Which I really like too. It's not just, the federal government dictating from up above saying this is the way you got to do it. It's coming out of the industry, but backed by people with some authority. So anyway, but to the codes that you learn when you're being licensed or being certified, or even just simply attending sessions at trade shows, it's all important in making yourself and the industry better. And as I was saying earlier, Illinois not having any real regulations relative to our industry, I think is bad, because ultimately the consumers get put into positions unknowingly that they would wish they hadn't when things go wrong, because people are building and doing repairs that really are not qualified enough to do them. So I wish we had some more licensing in this state that followed a little bit along the lines of what Florida and Texas and California and some of those other areas do, the Northeast, all that stuff.
Yeah. Take advantage of what's out there, because I don't think people take advantage of it. Like, almost all the manufacturers have their universities, right? Mm-hmm. And, those are very beneficial to give you some sort of knowledge. Or manufacturers, chemical companies, they have trainings that you can attend. I know I'm doing, at the end of the month, I'm going to a RAPAC training.
Okay.
Which I'm very excited for. Heaters are, I will admit, is my weakness. But I think it's something I have to learn. And so I'm very excited to go to that. And sure. Then I just had another rep and tell me that they have Deco Seal waterproofing training from the manufacturer happening at the beginning of November. And I'm like, yeah, I'm down for that too. Yeah. Like, I'm very lucky because I don't have the route that I can schedule things so I can be at these events. But even when I had my route, I told my customers there's 4 weeks out of the year that I would not be at their pool. Christmas, Thanksgiving, and then 2 weeks out of the year for training.
Okay.
And it always worked out. No one got taken more weeks than the 4 weeks. But I explained to them when I signed them up, I do this so I can become a better pool person for you, so I can make sure that I can help you the best I can. And people do respect that. I've heard from people, oh, I don't have time, I have to make money, or I'm too busy. I even know some people who had told me after posting about going to like a Hayward training that they've never had formal training in like 15 years they've been in the industry.
Yeah.
Which is, I get it. Our jobs, if you think about it, a lot of it has been on the job training.
Sure.
But how else are you going to grow and become like a company kind of like you guys have, where you have all those employees and bring in that money, training. I bet you guys training those employees is very crucial so that they can get done what you need done in that short season you have.
It is. We do training extensively. We're actually about ready to start to kick off our in-house winter training that the 1st of December through pretty much the 1st of April, we'll do training every Thursday all day at our offices, our retail store. And we have everybody that works for All Seasons in that training, not just repair people, not just construction crews. We've got warehouse staff, we've got clerks from the store, we've got office staff, we've got everybody part of that, so that and it's amazing the different ways it helps, even just in simple things like terminology. If one of the construction foremen calls the warehouse manager and says, I need an XYZ, they hopefully are a little more familiar with what it is they're asking for. They can get it a little bit faster, not have to spend all kinds of time. It makes us more efficient. But you had talked about what you're doing in terms of wiring up control systems. We have been doing that for a handful of years now in these training sessions at our building, where the entire staff breaks into groups, and we've got usually somewhere between 4 and 6 control systems. Last winter, we're primarily a Pentair dealer, so it's always been very Pentair focused because that's what we've got in the warehouse to draw from. But we started accumulating systems as we are out replacing them and upgrading things. And we had a Hayward system, a Jandy system, a couple of Pentair systems. We even had Intermatic, like T104 dual timer boxes, and a whole array of different things, so that everyone could become a little better versed on other stuff that's out there, to try to make everybody very well-rounded and very comfortable that, hey, I know Pentair great, but this Jandy box, I don't even want to take the screws off it because I've never seen inside it, Well, now
I guess the first question is, do you know how to take the screws off of the Jandy?
Yeah, and
you
more
have the right screwdriver.
Far more importantly, though, is what do you do with those screws when you take them off, so that you have them when you're done to put them back on?
You know what I do is I'll take the plate off, and then I'll put the screws back in the holes.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. That is a pet peeve of mine, is walking up to anything electrical in the backyard and seeing missing screws because they got dropped on the ground, rolled down in the crack next to the sidewalk, disappeared. No one knows where they're at. And 1 out of 3 screws is fine. It's not going to fall off. I hate that.
But don't just leave one screw.
That's the, and then you get duct tape and, string and rubber bands, or you just take that whole inside panel and put it in the truck with you as if it was never there. Because when you close that outer door, that takes care of everything, because the homeowners never open that box and reach in there with all that live wires and all the rest of it. So many, and I'm sure we should start compiling pictures of the horrors that are seen out there and sharing them, where someone will take a name your control system, Jandy, Hayward, doesn't matter, and maybe the PCB board is gone out for some reason, and they rip that out and put an Intermatic timer up in the top of that box, sideways, because that's the only way it'll fit. That metal plate I talked about is gone, and they just wire that, timer right into the whatever it is to make that be the new control system.
So recently I got to put in one of the Hayward retro kits, and that for some reason that made me think of it because of you saying missing the plate, because I loved how this retro kit came with a new plate for the box, so it wouldn't look, like janky or anything. And I took the old board off, I put the new board in, plugged everything in. One thing I did learn, not the hard way, is when you do this retro kit, take the low voltage bus bars off and use the new ones. Don't just take them off the old board and put them on the new one, because you'll run a risk of blowing the board.
Oh, well, that's
good. Did not
good
do
point
that.
Let me write that down right now. None of us want to. Last thing I ever want to do is blow a board.
Yeah, luckily I didn't blow the board. My tech rep Kat told me. He's like, yeah, please make sure to use the new ones, not the old ones. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, glad you told me that.
Yeah.
But it was super easy. Took like 45 minutes, and they went from an Aqualogic to an Omni PL.
And you didn't have to spray paint the old metal plate to make it look good. You had a brand new one to pop right in.
Brand new one, nice, snazzy. It looked great. It looked very like it was always meant to be there. And yeah, I waited 2 freaking years for one of those things. Like, ooh. I've been asking. When I first met my Hayward reps, they were telling me about it when I was talking to a customer who wanted to use their phone. And he's on board. He wants one now. Like, he's been waiting the 2 years for this upgrade kit, because I sold it to him so easily, because I had the rep on the phone and my earplug. He's telling me, all the features. So that's how I know I've been waiting 2 years, because I've been doing Hayward warranty stuff for 2 years now. But yeah, when they're like, hey, we can get you one of these, I was like, hell yeah.
Right.
And it does save the homeowner some money. It's not as expensive as having the full Omni PL, but you have all the features. Like, I really don't see anything else that they need to get once they do that upgrade kit. At least the one I did, because the one I did had 8 relays.
Okay.
It's going to depend on what Aqualogic or ProLogic they have.
Right.
But
yep. Yeah, the other, I know Pentair and Jandy both have upgrades. Pentair has upgrades for their older ComPool systems to bring them up into Easy Touch, and I think they've even got one now for the new Intellis Center that takes the old ComPools, for those who are familiar with that, up to the new Intellis Center, just by replacing the board on the left-hand side of the box, and quick and easy, usually hour and a half, 2 hours with programming, and you're in and out. It's interesting to me that when you buy the systems, they always, of course, start with a like a 4 relay, or you can upgrade to a 6 or an 8, but these upgrade systems tend to always come as a pretty full featured thing. They make one upgrade system. They're not going to screw around making 3 or 4 different SKUs to because the market isn't that big, and the price is pretty reasonable in my mind to take someone from 1970s technology pretty much and jump them up into current stuff.
The only reason I know the builder of this particular pool, and they built the pool 20 years ago, and this was the original equipment. Yeah. So I brought them 2 decades back. Now they're current.
Now, is that a sub-panel box? Got circuit breakers inside that box? Or okay.
Yeah,
so
it does.
That metal plate then obviously has the knockouts for the circuit breakers and all that. Do they send labels with that to be able to label breakers?
I know Jandy RS systems come with stickers. Sometimes I see the ones with Pentair stickers. I usually use my own labels, but I'm a fanatic like that. I want to make it look really nice and pretty and easy to read. and I make the writing big enough so, when you get old, you can still read it.
Oh, is that a crack at me?
No.
I don't have my glasses on tonight. Let me put them back on. And even with the prepackaged labels, when they do, come with labels, you end up having something in that box that doesn't fit, like the bug zapper in the cabana or something that is on a breaker in that box.
I had one of my builders, Aquatique. It was like one of their last ProLogics they sold, and I had to replace the display on it for some reason, and it came with stickers. But I had to kind of be creative for one of the items because they didn't have a sticker to describe it.
Yeah.
So I had this. It was they had swim jets in the pool. So
wait a minute. This wasn't that kinky jet that we talked about.
No, not the kinky
okay.
jet. Totally different pool.
Okay.
But so I ended up using Spa Jet for the label, and I explained to the customer this is what it is, and they're like, okay, that's fine. But you had to get creative, like, okay, which one kind of fits for this,
right?
So
fun.
But
those types of things, control systems and upgrades and stuff like that are to me one of the fun parts of the service tech job.
Yeah.
And it's also something that not a lot of service techs or service companies get into because people aren't versed enough and trained enough, and the company, the last thing they want is to get that tech in the field that doesn't change the connector and ends up blowing that board, and then you got to wait another 2 years to get the next one, right?
Right. And that's where, like, all the manufacturers have training. So you have Pentair, who does their, Pentair weekend or, 2-day thing. I know now it's like in ours is at the beginning of November in Reno.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
But, they do those all over the country. Pentair has those training facilities in different areas, and they're willing, if you call them and say, hey, I need you to train me on, if it's the IntelliCenter or IntelliChem, they'll meet you at those training facilities and go over it with you, like, one-on-one. Right. They don't mind doing that at all. But when they have those, like, weekends or 2-day trainings, like, go to them. One, like Pentair, they put it all out. Like, you get food, you get, party, like, you're good to go. But take advantage of that, or take advantage of these webinars that they do. Hayward, they're currently, I think they're in week 2 of their webinar series that they do, and it goes all the way till April. They have something almost every week. But these webinars you can listen to on your headset as you're cleaning the pool or repairing the pool. And then on top of it, when they're done, a lot of times, because you attended it, you still have access to that webinar later on. So if you need to listen to it again because you missed something, or you're like, oh, I want to re-listen to this, you can do that. So like I said, and they cover everything from heaters. They're even doing Paramount in-floor system webinars. If you don't know how to do the OmniLogic or the XE pumps, all of those things are being done almost every week. I know Zodiac, they've started doing kind of like Pentair World. They'll have like a 2-day training. And, again, I know Jandy, they also have webinars constantly on things that they provide. And so you can learn how to install it. What are some of the tips and tricks? Like, a lot of these things, just like you guys listening to us on a podcast while you're working, you could do that with these webinars.
Yeah, and in addition to the webinars, like you had said, the webinars are available often after the fact, but the big three especially have their online universities.
Yep.
That are, there's some great stuff out there. Through the course of our training that we do all winter long, that becomes part of it, where we'll often assign some homework, so to speak, where we want you to go log into Hayward, Jandy, whoever, and watch the unit on heaters, because next week that's what we're going to be covering is heaters. Things like that. So many opportunities to to invest in yourself and make yourself better. And they just, the fact that we're in person again, whether it's manufacturer training or industry training, like through PHTA, CPO, Genesis training, like I know you're going to be getting deep into in this next year, right? All of that stuff is just invaluable, truly.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I really, just talking to people, they don't take advantage of it as much as they should, and don't think, oh, I have to go to a show in order to get training, like we've discussed today. There's plenty of stuff out there that if you can't afford to go to the show, or if you don't have time, or whatever the reason, you have other outlets. And kind of like you telling your employees, hey, go on to this to do this before we have this training. These people can do that with these webinars and stuff, is listen to the webinars. And then when you get to go to that hands-on training, you got a little bit of background to kind of help you get more in depth at that training.
Right. Yep. We stress it like crazy, and it's also tied into our service technicians' pay structure. So, they have to achieve certain milestones in various training avenues, I'll say, in order to graduate from a level 1 tech to a level 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6. Without that certification, and it doesn't have to be certification in terms of a long drawn out, thing, or an expensive thing like Genesis training. The manufacturers certify you in their training as well. You can go and the other part of it too is if you are doing any of the say PHTA training, if you're a certified maintenance specialist, certified service technician, a certified builder, name the certification. To maintain that certification, you have to continue educating yourself. You have to get continuing educational unit credits to renew periodically those certifications that you get. And almost all of these manufacturer things we're talking about give you the CEUs to be able to renew those certificates. So it all feeds into one another and is done for great reasons, and is, like I said, it's just an important part of bettering yourself and bettering the industry too. But think first about yourself. Those business owners or managers or supervisors that are out there, try to find time for your staff to be able to do this stuff, to get some of this in-person stuff done in addition to the online and webinar and all that kind of stuff, because it really does matter.
Yep. Invest in yourself is the best investment you can make.
Yep.
Well, I think that's about all we have for today.
Yes. What do you got coming up next week? Got anything exciting going on?
Not yet. I'm taking the kids. Okay, there's like this Day of the Dead celebration at a cemetery down the street from my house. And they're gonna have food trucks and churro like vendors and arts and crafts, and then they're gonna play the movie Coco.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna take the kids to that, and a friend of mine's coming with her daughter. So that will be fun.
Now wait, did you say in a cemetery?
Yeah, it's at a cemetery slash mortuary.
Wow.
Whatever, So
that sounds pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun. It's a really nice one. It's not like a really creepy one. Not super old, so you're not like, okay, what is this? But I think it'll be fun, and I think the kids will love it, especially because it's Halloween.
Yeah.
So
that sounds super, super fun.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to do it because we need to get out of the house.
Yeah. I get to head up to northern Wisconsin this weekend. I've got our family has some property up there that needs to be put to bed for the winter. And I think it was Monday I heard that the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which is only about 10 miles away, got a foot of snow. So
Oh, wow.
lucky me. It is supposed to warm up a bit, so I'm hoping it's all gone by the time I get up there. But so I'll be this weekend in the frigid north woods of Wisconsin.
Well, you have fun with that.
All right, I'll be thawed out by next Tuesday.
Okay. Well, you can let me know how that went when we record next week.
Sounds good.
So thank you for listening yet to another episode of Talking Pools on Tuesdays with Kelli and Dan. If you have any suggestions of any topics, please let us know. Message us on Facebook, Instagram, email us at talkingpools@gmail.com, and we will have something new for you next week. And
Thanks.
I think next week's episode will be the week of the show. So,
oh, exciting.
Yeah, we'll have to think of something good to kind of correlate.
I'm in for it.
So everybody have a good day or evening whenever you're listening to this, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.